everybody. Welcome to the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Tilford, joined by Ben Roy Turner.
Video games.
I'm Rich Hudson.
Also video games.
Now, the Video Game Awards are in X days on December 12th. I can't do that.
Just over 2 weeks. Just shy of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think. Yes.
And all the nominations are out. You can watch them, December 12th in LA. If you're watching in the UK, they're 1:30 in the morning for us on the 13th.
It was earlier last year, wasn't it?
Maybe.
No.
I swear I got back from some wine and just sat there and watched it at a reasonable time.
You're always getting back from
All
wine.
I know is we're all going to be trying to watch it while out on the piss.
Yeah, our big Christmas
It's
party.
like Christmas do.
Is
so
then.
it's like, thanks, Jeff. Could you reschedule it for us, please? So
It'll
we
be.
can-
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm looking forward to being absolutely sozzled and cheering Troy Baker on as he tries to
It's
get
gonna,
an award
it's gonna be when a
kids.
game gets announced that we were not expecting it, and there's all of us like absolutely freaking out, completely pissed.
Yeah.
So in the morning, voting on the fate of our country, then Christmas party, then Game Awards. Too much.
But
We're literally
potentially
you're going to
Batman.
do the exit poll at midnight and then the Game Awards at 1:30. So we're either going to go into it really happy or really depressed. Anyway.
We'll see. But yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different categories. I think there's closer to 16 to 20 in total. But I've just got to like handpicked what I think are the 10 sort of biggest ones to talk about. And so we'll just kind of rattle through them. Up for best performance is Ashley Birch as Pavati in The Outer Worlds, Courtney Hope as Jesse Faden in Control, Laura Bailey as Kate Diaz in Gears 5, Mads Mikkelsen as Cliff in Death Stranding, Matthew Porretta as Dr. Casper Darling in Control, or Norman Reedus as Sam Porter Bridges in Death Stranding. Who do you want to win?
Oh God, Mads Mikkelsen probably.
Mads is a great shout. I don't think Norman Reedus should get it.
weak
for
link.
Stranding.
He's the weak one.
Yeah.
I
mean, obviously, I've still not finished Death Stranding.
You put a lot of time into it.
I'm now on chapter 7. I want to say Dead Man's chapter. That's where I am now. So I don't know how far away from the end I am. Please don't.
You got a lot more chapters in terms of the numbers, but the actual game time.
They're not
is
very.
less.
They're not very long. Like these current few are quite short. But
Have you been in the shower yet?
we've had
That's
that,
exactly
I've had
where he is.
I've had that
Oh,
steamy
good.
shower scene. It was my most embarrassing wank of the year. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm still yet to see more of combat veteran Mads, but I wouldn't have given it to either of them personally. I would have given it to Ashley Birch as Pavati.
Nice. I think Pavati, I love her role in Outer Worlds, but I think if you're going to do like full range stuff, I think they do more with Mads. You haven't seen like Mads' big acting moments yet, but I think
that's why I'm like not sure about really how to answer.
Got a couple of hours of Mads yet to come.
Yeah, you get the big reveal stuff. Stuff like Dr. Casper Darling, he's lovable, but I wouldn't give it to him in terms of the overall, he doesn't dominate the category.
I think it is more just like the meme love there, even though I love him in all his roles. And then like Kate Diaz, I think she's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good. It's probably a good nod, but like, I don't think the strongest.
If they're thinking of it in like doing parallels to the way that the like film acting awards go out, and you think about range and like really like big seismic dynamic performances and stuff, like she doesn't really have one. She doesn't have like a scene where you go, okay, that moment's where I absolutely love that performance.
I don't really feel like there's like any of those nominees, not to say that they're bad performances, but like, when you compare it to like last year's nominees for performance, like they were like leagues ahead of these. So
Yeah, it's stuff like God of War.
tough category by the sounds of it.
My pick. I mean, we can after all these, we'll sort of read the nominations out, and then you can pick one, even if we're just kind of weirdly tepid on it. For me, I'll go with Mads Mikkelsen.
I'm going for Daddy.
Who's Daddy?
Mads.
Daddy Mads.
Daddy Mads,
Yeah.
big Daddy Mads.
Dad's Mikkelsen.
I said, I'll go for now. I'll say Ashley Birch, but I'll keep Mads in mind, as you always should.
I would love it if Birch got it.
Wait, Dad's Mikkelsen.
Dad's Mikkelsen. I'm crowning it. Next game is the best action game, which is Apex Legends, Astral Chain, Call of Duty, Devil May Cry 5, Gears 5, or Metro Exodus. Pretty tough category. But yeah, I mean, I think talking about all of them, it has to be DMC 5. As much as I love this year's card, DMC does so much with the genre, and Capcom they've had such a blinder of a year alongside RE2. But just DMC 5 is just the best character action game ever put together. I adore it. What would you guys pick?
For me, I'd go Gears 5. I feel like it's really shaken up from Gears 4 when it was more of a box standard, let's walk in a few like simulated corridors for a few seconds. I enjoyed mostly everything about Gears 5. Thought it was one of the better games of the year and probably the best of the franchise. Nice little shake up. Loved it. And I won't carry on.
Bless you for flying the flag for Gears 5, then, Roy. Someone's got to.
Since I've not played either Gears 5 or Devil May Cry 5, I am going to have to say Modern Warfare.
Oh, see, okay, the COD's a great shout. What is it about this year's COD that made it work for you?
For me, it was it wasn't necessarily the return to form, because I feel like, as I'll always say, World War II was something very on form 2 years ago. But I just think Modern Warfare has done so well, especially for Infinity Ward as a company, because you think about where they've been for their last 3 games, they've been down the toilets. and Modern Warfare's turned up. And even now, 2 months after release, or a month and a bit after release, And Activision still haven't shagged it yet.
No.
Something's different
Even
about this
COD
game.
Mobile works.
Even COD Mobile is good. The zombies is bad, but
Yes.
like the COD, like I genuinely think, as much as I don't feel like COD is going to ever reach the position it was back during the golden era of the 7th gen, I think Modern Warfare is something definitely to be recognized as probably one of the best ones they've done in this generation. And even just down to like, yeah, the campaign's not very long and it's not as hard hitting as they probably wanted it to be, but it's still very good.
Yeah.
The multiplayer is fantastic. Spec Ops is a bit broken, but it's got a lot of potential there.
If you zeroed it in on like just pure action, when Call of Duty is on, like
It is
it's
brilliant.
phenomenal. Yeah, like that multiplayer is stellar.
And, you know, the fact that it's managed to keep me going to the multiplayer, because I don't have, as I do with like the trail games, I don't have the zombies draw to keep going back to. I just have multiplayer, and I'm still playing it and still enjoying it and finding new love in new weapons when I decide to pick something up. Because normally you'd find you one weapon and stick with it. I'm finding different things and finding different play styles and actually experimenting with the gunplay and stuff. I just think I genuinely think it's a proper breath of fresh air for the series. So I'm definitely willing to give it that kind of accolade, and it has been recognized in a lot of categories this year, which I'm very happy to see.
Yeah, man. Speaking of breath of fresh air, I want to shout out Astral Chain because so many people missed this game, and with it only being on Switch, and the fact that it's Platinum's new action game. Like, you know, in 2017, it was like Nier was everywhere, and Platinum are known as like the third-person character action people. Kind of got shadowed by DMC5. Astral Chain though, like you play the whole thing, like the whole hook of Astral Chain is the chain itself, which you're moving around the battlefield with the right stick, and you're wrapping around different enemies and stuff. And like if you're defending against like a charge attack, you'll like try and deflect it and bounce characters back. It just plays in a way that no other character action game has. And I love all the different things that they do with that game. Played that front to back. It's very Saturday morning anime, but with like just great over the top combat. Kind of everything that Platinum have learned and pioneered over the last few years into one new game. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of attention because I feel like Astral Chain, just no one even knows that it came out this year.
I have to say that what Rich was saying about Modern Warfare, I feel like resonates with Gears 5 as well. Just like bringing something that was going a bit stale, coming back to new time, and like I feel like it's never like Modern Warfare never going to be the height it is again. They feel like they're just kind of sticking around their hair, the old timers now.
Yeah,
but it's nice to see like something old feel new.
I thought the best thing about Gears 5 was the pivot to the new characters. I had a problem with like I didn't think they're as memorable as the old cast, but I like that they're doing that stuff. And there's some great moments in there, depending on what you pick, based on what it lets you do towards the end of the story. Some absolutely amazing scenes with Marcus and son JD, that I absolutely love. So I would go for that. I would go with DMC5. You beat Gears 5, and Richard with COD. This is weird because now we go into best multiplayer game, which like some of the crossover: Apex Legends, Borderlands 3. Call of Duty, Terrorist 99, and Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Best multiplayer game, I would have to go with COD. I think that the multiplayer mode is pristine.
COD should win.
COD will have to win that.
Because it's the first time, as I've said, in a long time that everyone's gone, oh, COD again.
Yeah.
Like, and the multiplayer is very good. It's not perfect. There are some flaws they've tried to fix. The 725 is still arse. Piccadilly is still arse.
Oh, I love a bit of Piccadilly.
Oh god, genuinely,
Cheeky bit of Piccadilly.
My friends and I have literally backed out of a game, ticking down into a domination match on Piccadilly. We're just like, nope, not having that. But no, I think Modern Warfare should win. I think it deserves to win. But for me, surprisingly, Tetris 99 is so good.
Tetris is, you wouldn't, of all the things the Battle Royale could be applied to, I don't think anyone thought that it would work with a Tetris game.
Genuinely, out of all the Battle Royales I've played, it's probably the best and it is the most unique. If you've like, so you know, as you say, people look at Tetris 99 and go, what the hell is this? How would this work? You play it because it's free as long as you've got Switch Online. But when you play it and you try it and you think, God, this is so
It's weird. You play your own. It's so stupid because you, again, like you said, most people will just hand wave it away as just Tetris. Josh hasn't tried it and things like that. Ben, have you tried Tetris?
Yes.
99. Good. So, but most people I feel like hand wave it away, and it's weird because once you finally start playing Tetris, the way that the screen's laid out, where you have your match in the middle and everyone else's games going on simultaneously around the outside, and then you can attack each other and throw power ups at each other and stuff. It is weird how intense that gets towards the top 20,
It's
top
the
10.
only Battle Royale game where you will be on edge for the entire game.
Yeah. And it's just like the arcade feel of Tetris
also,
is
it's just
brilliant
different. You look at the rest of the nominations on it. It's like shoot, kill. Done. not that I have a problem with that, but it's just like this is the only game on there that's multiplayer that isn't shooting each other or shooting something. It's literally just, hey, I mean, you're still kind of knocking each other out of a game, but
like lovely
it's
Nintendo
so unique.
charm.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of a shame that it's only on Switch. I want it on everything.
It should be
Get
everywhere
everyone on this
with crossplay.
I will say, like seeing Tom Clancy's The Division 2 on there upset me because I just don't think it should be on there.
I completely forgot it was even.
It's so
After
forgettable.
some areas, like I'm gonna say Gears 5 probably should be on there, but if I was gonna pick one for that category, I'm going with Apex Legends. Just the thunderstorm and the area of the industry crafted for like most of this year, taken over by storm. Like, oh, Apex Legends is turning Battle Royale good again after people getting a bit tired of it. Tired of like going around looking in a box for some bandages
Checking
or
a
hiding in the toilet. But
I think,
it didn't connect with me that well, but I feel like overall impact, I think Apex Legends.
The impact's the big thing because I think like it would take something really special to shift like PUBG or Fortnite. They're like the established battle royale genres.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty tried with Blackout and didn't make that much of an impact. And it's like this overnight became the thing in battle royale. And I got really into Apex for a good couple of months. Like
I think it's gonna be like the last hurrah for battle royale. Like I feel like it's kind of dead now. I think there's spaces for it to evolve. Tetris 99 being an example of that, but. I feel like this is the last time we'll probably see something that's battle royale focused, like primarily being nominated for big Game of the Year stuff. Because I know that there's like a ton of clones in production. Is it like Storm Chasers have been one we've been sitting
there's a lot.
for
Yeah,
ages?
I mean, COD's getting another one.
Apparently,
we certainly don't
we'll
need
see.
any more Battle Royale
we don't.
specific games.
I mean, I can understand like the idea of giving it that sort of last hurrah. There you go, battle royale. Cool, it's done now. Here's the lid, done. But yeah, I think Tetris or Modern Warfare deserves it more.
Yes, Tetris 99 from Urich. I would take Call of Duty, and you would be
Apex Legends.
Shouts. Best family game. This is the stuff that we might not have played everything of, although I think I have. We'll see. Luigi's Mansion 3, Ring Fit Adventure, Super Mario Maker 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Yoshi's Crafted World.
Super Mario Maker 2 should win that category because Super Mario Maker 2 is a lovely game where you get to build Mario levels and you get to punish certain people like I did with Rich.
You enjoyed my level?
Yeah.
After I told you how I beat it?
Like, no one ever plays Scott Telvis level because it is dog sleep. It is disgusting. It is bad.
It was pretty bad. I literally never got past the first bit of yours.
Did you not?
Yeah.
2 hours. 2 hours I spent.
You got there eventually.
I was like,
I think I told
I'll
you though.
spend this an hour. 2 hours later, then another 3 hours later. No.
You can find the code for that. We put it on a video ages ago, but I forget which one it was. It was something around launch. Maybe
I think
hardest
it might have
levels or
been.
something.
It might have been in Chatty actually.
Yeah, I did whatever. You have to check out the release month that came out, and the code out there somewhere. Or you find me on social media, I'll send it out. But yeah, in terms of picks for this stuff, I think best family game, like it would have to be Smash Brothers, but that's like falling back on such an established formula.
For me, like the idea of like the thing in that list that epitomizes family and cute is Yoshi.
Right.
The thing about Crafted World is it's more Yoshi.
It's only two-player, though,
It's
I
not.
think.
There's not much to it, but yeah, Smash would make the most sense. Ring Fit is very good.
Ring Fit's brilliant,
Ring
but I don't
Fit
think
is
it's a family
fantastic,
game.
but it's not a family game.
No,
not really.
Ring Fit is like
Who the hell plays Ring Fit as a party thing? We Fit, when you had all your cool like header games and stuff like that, like that was really cool. Ring Fit is like pure fitness.
single-player thing.
It's proper
I've
actual
heard-
fitness, and that's why it's really good.
I've heard it's
not a family
legit.
game.
No.
Like a legit fitness
Genuinely,
thing, but
yeah. I mean, I think because I tried it at EGX and I literally did it. I was like, I loved Wii Fit, and I'm like, I also need to get fit. And then I played Ring Fit, and it was actually like because it was like first thing in the morning, like first thing on a Sunday morning.
Oh, God.
Ash and I
Go
were
for
both
a
dead
jog.
afterwards. Yeah, but it was like this actually works when you get it and you play it, and it really, really does work as an actual fitness tool. So that's like a sort of segue recommendation for Ring Fit Adventure, but it's not a family game. But
No.
Smash makes the most sense.
Yeah,
to
I
be
think
perfectly honest.
for Ring Fit, the amount of different profiles you can have like active at one time, I guess they're thinking that like a family could all check
I
in.
think they
and
do
stuff,
have like
but
a party mode almost, but it's like again,
Yeah.
it's not. It's more for me. It's more something. Yes, it's got the cutesy sort of the RPG elements of it, which I think are really cool to keep you invested. But it's not something I see as a family game.
No.
Is there 4-player ring action if you
No.
buy 4 rings?
Nope.
Nope.
It's all single player. I mean, like maybe there's families out there that's like, come on, we'll do some crunches.
Let's
But,
put
like,
the 4 TVs up and all do Ring Fit at the same time.
race you
Well.
in Ring Fit. That's not something for me. I think as a pick, mine would be Smash Brothers. I think yours is Mario Maker.
Yeah.
Rich.
Mario Maker is really good. I have really enjoyed it because I didn't play the original Mario Maker, and I did take a plunge with this one because I was badly burned by the port of Super Mario Brothers U to the Switch in January because that was bad. But no, I really like Mario Maker, but I think for me, yeah, Smash makes the most sense because you can do. I know you got the 4-player stuff in Mario Maker 2, but it's not. It's kind of like normal Mario, but whereas Smash, you know what you're getting with.
Yeah.
Sure.
with
Plus on Smash.
and 8-player, so.
I was gonna say it's 8-player. You can plug in like the old GameCube controller, multi-generational combat and stuff. Like I think that's the winner for that, even though it is such a time-tested formula. Best action/adventure game. There's such a weird distinction between that and pure action games. But action adventure: Borderlands 3, Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, and Sekiro. Very, very, very tough category. I think if it's action and adventure, I think it's actually Death Stranding. Because I think if you're going to encapsulate the word adventure, other than Legend of Zelda.
I actually voted for Resident Evil in this category on the website, yes.
Oh, you can actually go vote on the official website as well if you want to go vote for the Video Game Awards. But yeah, mine would be Death Stranding because I think I love how much they do with the basic stuff, the walking mechanics, the feel of getting place to place, the reward when you get there, and then you layer on all this insane progression system, like 50 hours of new abilities and items and things to do, and then all the story stuff as well. Like I think it nails the action stuff, the boss fights, alongside all the walking and hiking and walking sim stuff.
Rare time I'm going to go against Death Stranding and just go Resident Evil 2 because I feel like it's weird to class it as action adventure because it's survival horror, but then we can't just have a survival horror category. But every part of that game was just so like mechanically on point. The narrative was they sort of like refreshed Resident Evil 2 for like a bit of a modern age. There wasn't as much of the goof stuff in it, and it was legitimately scary for parts of it. Like the IVs were like, oh, I just don't want to deal with you. I don't want my face munched off. And like shooting zombies, they made shooting zombies interesting again. Sure, you can get headshots. That ain't going to put it down straight away. You need to think about this.
In terms of the adventure stuff, the puzzle-based progression, item-based stuff, like it's such a rewarding loop.
That's what I was going to say. Like I do feel like there is a sense of adventure, especially if it's your first time playing Resi 2 or even Resident Evil as a whole. It's for me, this would be between Death Stranding and Resident Evil 2, but I think Resident Evil 2 will just about take it for me. I do really like Death Stranding, but Resi 2 was such a fantastic start to the year.
I think in terms of the critical opinions, I think it'll go to Sekiro or Death Stranding just because of what they do in terms of both those categories. Sekiro has such a tiny percentage of people who've actually finished it. Not in the office. I mean, overall, the trophy data for it, it's like 40% of people have beaten the final boss. And so but it's weird because the stuff that game does in those categories is still exemplary. Like the lessons learned that From Software have had for the last decade.
I think it brings up that conversation as to like, is this just too hard? Like in Chatty Faces, which has literally just gone up as of right now, we're recording. Ash said like the thing about Sekiro for her is the fact that it's literally a box to tick to say yes, I've beaten it. I've overcome this absolute bastard of a game.
Which is where Benroy is.
Lol, someone's around a corner and they stabbed you because you didn't know they were there. Ha! Isn't that fun?
Again, for me personally, I can completely
you died with a spear guy, to be fair.
I completely appreciate where Sekiro is coming from, and it does deserve something. So if it did get this, that would be fine. But I don't feel like it's going to be, because of its sort of the sort of lack of approachability from like everyone. Not to say that every other game is open to everyone, but it's like because there is such a high sort of hill to get over. Yeah, it kind of makes it hard to really give it an award like this when everyone else can go. But this was better because we've all actually been able to play this. But,
I think it is
conversation for another time.
I think that is an interesting facet though. Like the idea that something could be so ridiculously unforgiving and brutal that it gets in the way of the other qualities of it.
Yeah.
Which that's very much
people generally do overlook Sekiro, and it's not unjustified.
I wish there was a Tenchu mode where it was like a little less,
a little stealth,
less soulsy.
So we're gonna pick stuff from this. Mine will be Death Stranding. You're taking Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Rich, what was yours?
Resident Evil 2.
Shout, best indie game. This might be one where only a handful of us have played stuff. Baba Is You, Disco Elysium, Katana Zero, Outer Wilds, or Untitled Goose Game.
It's gonna be Goose Game.
You think so?
I think it's gonna be Goose Game. Baba Is You is really cool.
Baba Is You is such a great
The other
concept.
ones I've not actually played.
Right, I've done all of them apart from Disco Elysium.
I just think in terms of the amount of noise, literal honking noises it made, I think Goose Game is gonna probably take this because it's been such a big deal for a lot of people. Like the other games on that in those nominees, they haven't made waves as big as Goose Game has.
I'm curious what they factor into what makes it a best indie game. If it's in terms of the indie spirit, taking something very small, because I mean, Goose Game started as like two people just having the idea for a laugh in an interview, and then just making it over time, and then it becoming this world-dominating, mentioned on stage during like Blink-182 gig level thing. Something like that. Goose Game is the indie spirit incarnate. But I think there are better. For me, there's way better games. And
That's
I
very
like
true.
Goose Game,
yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know where else you guys come down on. Baba Is You is this great sort of puzzle game where you're remixing words on screen to make different sentences to create different game rules, so you can get through it. I think conceptually that thing is phenomenal. Disco Elysium, this massive sprawling, super responsive RPG where everything you say feeds back to you. And Outer Wilds, for me, I love every single one of these games, although I haven't played Disco yet.
Goose Game is the last thing I played on my Switch, and since I put that down, my Switch has run out of power and just sat in the same spot and
get off PS5, Benroy.
But for me, I think it's gonna be Outer Wilds, because I think this is voted for by like critics and there's a set board, and I think when it comes down to it, I've seen enough people raving about Outer Wilds, and I've played a bit of Outer Wilds, and I don't want to explain over it because I feel like even mention any of that is kind of like a spoiler for the game. So but it's got me wanting to go back to it. Whereas I respect Goose Game, and also the memes just broke me. So, but yeah, I think it's going to either be Goose Game or Outer Wilds, because they both have been juggernauts this year in that sort of space.
Yeah. Outer Wilds, to mention that, like, is a game about exploration. Like, that whole world resets every 22 minutes. So it's like, how far can you get? How many of these different planets and puzzles can you do in 22 minutes? And then keep the knowledge that you learn carrying over to the next run. So you end up revisiting different places, and you just explore over time, but you also stumble into different dynamic events like solar flares and different things like that.
I wish it had a different name.
Honestly, I wonder how much it got buried.
It does sound like a bit of a rip-off.
Well, it just sounds so close.
Yeah,
I know. And they obviously, them as a team, they were asked about it, and they were like, "Well, we thought of it first, so like, we're not going to get rid of our name." For a winner for that category, I will take Outer Wilds, although I love everything there. What would you guys pick?
I think Wilds will win.
Mm-hmm.
I think again, Goose Game for me,
mainly
because it is a one and done game. Absolutely, I'll completely agree with that. But I think just the amount of impact it made as an indie title, kind of again, as you say, kind of as much as itself won't exactly go down in history as something so incredible, but it has opened the door to the idea that literally you can take the dumbest concept, and as long as you make it fun, people will play it.
Yeah, and obviously there's a level of proficiency to the execution that wasn't there in something like Goat Simulator.
Game. It's fantastic.
It's so much fun, like the sound effects and everything else. Best game direction: Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, or Outer Wilds again. Direction is an interesting thing because they're applying obviously a filmic term to video games, which can be somewhat authored by the player, but within certain rule sets. And I wonder how much this falls back on cinematography.
This is where I think Stranding's gonna.
It'll have to be Stranding. Yeah.
At the end of the day, if Kojima's up for a directorial award and he doesn't win it, they'll be right.
And it's Jeff Keighley as well. Just being like, sorry,
His
mate.
busy mate Jeff Keighley.
Yeah. In terms of that's the thing. They're trying to pass out the term direction in regards to video games. Like, if you apply it to cutscenes, obviously Kojima completely dominates because these other games don't necessarily have expertly directed cutscenes.
I also think he directs the player so well in such a large world. Like, even though you could just go, now I'm going to go over the mountain instead, you kind of find people kind of find themselves going in certain ways, and it helps with all the multiplayer aspects of like people building bridges and signs and things like that. But I felt like climbing up mountain at some point when music would come on or a blizzard would come out of nowhere. Like sets like that, they're what I remember almost as much as the cutscenes in Death Stranding.
But even like down to the direction, quite literally, that Kojima took is even like conceptualizing and creating this almost from scratch.
Yeah.
I'm assuming basically in his own head because it's
it's
an auto. It's completely what he does.
Yeah.
But like because he had so many fingers and so many pies in this one experience, and it has become something so good because. Let's face it, Death Stranding could have been absolute dog.
Oh,
at
God.
the end of the day. It could have been terrible.
Yeah, and it's
but
like...
the fact that he's made something what on the outside seems so mundane and done it so well, he has managed to find this incredible balance, which not many games can do.
No.
So I do feel like he is absolutely worthy of this award.
Plus, the stuff that you mentioned, Ben, right, about the gameplay sequences, like he does, I think for some of it gets a bit on the nose, where it's all heavy-handed, where it's like, here's another low roar song as you come over a hilltop again. But that does work for the most part. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of overall game direction, I think all three of us would go with Death Stranding. To mention some other stuff, Control has exemplary feel. Again, it depends how much they apply the term direction. But that game's feel is this weird, isolating, almost survival horror-ish tone mixed with really great over-the-top combat.
It's weird. I feel like if Control came out like last year, it might have done better. But
this is a marketing campaign.
Everything I like about Death Stranding, like Control, is also in Death Stranding. But I feel like there's more of it in Death Stranding. Right. It just goes that next level. Whereas I feel like Control feels like something that shouldn't be. It feels like this game would have got cancelled almost at some point, but somehow it made its market and it's actually like really good, and I'm really hyped for the next Remedy project. But yeah, I just feel like Control, maybe it being in just a single building, even though I did love the look of the building and like the direction, like the lighting that they would bring out sometimes. But for me, I feel like Stranding just
it probably is going to be Stranding.
Takes it and runs with it.
Yeah, I just don't want to be. I mean, even Outer Wilds feels like a weird pick because it's not it's authored by you almost entirely.
Yeah.
Like they set up a bunch of stuff for you to get to, but there's no real. You don't need to get to a certain thing first. You can pick the furthest planet and just fly there straight away if you want to, which kind of makes it a bit strange.
RE2 takes scenes that were just pixelated man before and woman and turn it into like a real horror experience. So.
As much as in a remake sense, Resi 2 is absolutely immaculate. In the directorial sense, it doesn't really seem like it's an omnipresent thing.
The tone of RE2 is great in terms of walking the line between like really intense horror and you fear from Mr. X.
Yeah.
But then you also have like this kind of really fun and over the top action stuff towards the end with like the rocket launcher and the big boss fights.
But that's more
stuff.
just based on the gameplay and how that all works and how it carried over from
Here's
the original.
reveal.
So I wouldn't really say that it's massively down to a singular director.
Yeah, true. That's the thing. I'm curious how much they apply the term in a literal filmic sense or in terms of an overall
Well,
project
like
direction.
Mr. X's reveal when he pulls the helicopter up. Fantastic.
Yeah, things like that. So yeah, all three of us for Death Stranding. Best score / music: Cadence of Hyrule, Death Stranding, Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3, or Sayonara Wild Hearts. This is hard.
No idea.
I'm not the
Literally
biggest
no idea.
musicsman, but Death Stranding's music at some point would bring at like towards the end a little bit more to cover. Yeah.
For me, the Sayonara Wild Hearts has like a synth version of Cordelan. Sorry, not Cordelan. That's the Alter Bridge song. The one that the dude with the. You know the classic man? I'm going to keep going until I think of it.
Classic man.
You know the Claire de Lune, the one that's in...
I was thinking Claire de Lune.
Yeah, it's Claire de Lune.
Sounded similar to what you said before.
Coeur d'Alene is an Alter Bridge song.
Claire de Lune.
Claire de Lune. There's like a synth version of that opens that game. And Sayonara Wild Hearts is like this lane-based... It's almost like an endless runner, but you're just you're tapping things in rhythm and keeping up with the music, but it is this really big onslaught of just like visual ephemera and like bright pink neon tones and everything as you're playing as this character fighting off against different bikers and stuff. It's really over the top and ridiculous.
Sounds like Tron.
A little bit like Tron. You get to ride like a bike that's a little bit like Tron. But yeah, Sayonara Wild Hearts, I think, best use of music. But if it's an overall body of work, I think it'll either go to Cadence because of what they do in terms of revisiting classic Zelda stuff and sprucing it up, or Death Stranding. For me, DMC5, although I love...
it works really well, but I don't think it wins this category.
Devil Trigger is the best song out of everything here, but I don't think as a body of work, DMC5 holds up.
I'm just going to be my own personal caricature and say I'm kind of sad that Planet Zoo's soundtrack isn't on there.
Oh, is it?
Because
Is it
Planet Zoo's
notable?
soundtrack is absolutely brilliant.
Ooh, is there a sloth on it?
Sorry?
Is there a sloth on it?
No.
God,
There's
when
no
will there be a sloth,
But
Rich?
they went to, there was one of the two composers for Planet Coaster, just one of the guys came back, but he went and did a bunch of stuff with a South African like vocal group.
Right.
For a bunch of the soundtrack, and it is just lovely to listen to, and it's like probably my favorite soundtrack of the year, actually.
Nice.
Like it's one of those things where when I listen to the title track of that, and I genuinely feel emotional because it's just so positive and so lovely, and you get all these like sort of African vibes coming through from it, and then you think, yes, I'm gonna make a zoo. Like it's the best feeling. I mean, that's my like honorable mention. For
You can totally have an honorable
But
mention.
for me personally, I genuinely don't know any of those for me.
Okay.
I've returned to Death Stranding soundtrack as I walk home up that hill.
Do you mean the score or the soundtrack they put out?
Well, parts of it, the actual like soundtrack of it, and then like BB's theme. Like,
Oh, yeah,
BB's theme is almost immaculate for me, and I walk up the hill just like, just BB's. Go and listen to BB's theme.
BB's theme is very nice. I tend to prefer the Timefall collection of songs to
Yeah.
the songs that are in the game. There's way too much low raw in there for me, because it's like it should be this more varied thing, but it's like here's another low raw song. And all of low raw stuff sounds very similar. But yeah, for me it would be probably be Sayonara out of all of that. Death Stranding for you,
Yes.
and Rich Planet Zoo.
Even though Planet Zoo's not on there,
but
I'm
it's
just,
fine.
I'm gonna say I'm remaining impartial.
That is fine. Next one is Best Narrative. A Plague Tale, Innocence, Control, Death Stranding again, Disco Elysium, or The Outer Worlds. Best narrative that punched you in the gut.
Oh, well, see,
Don't spoil anything, Ben.
a,
Right?
No, we don't need spoilers.
a Plague Tale, by the way, very good narrative.
I'm glad it's nominated.
Like, but I don't. Again, Death Stranding is just such a juggernaut for me.
I know.
And Control, like towards the end, it does have an ending, Scott Telford, but it just
Control does not have an ending,
It just
Carol.
it whimpers out just a bit because it's just like Alan Wake, where it's like, oh, it's a mystery, but like hopefully we get like a return to that story. Maybe it could win one day, but for me,
Yes.
Death Stranding, and it actually like to see an ending to a Kojima game this generation is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, like if you talk like narrative and not just story beats, it's like wider world building and thematic stuff, and like resonance and whatever. Like the world that Kojima builds with Death Stranding, this overall message of coming together in community in the face of human history, and the way that he paints that world over time, and the amount of detail and research he's put into. Well, it would get into spoilers, but the message of that game is only reinforced by how much research he puts into.
Where I
human
feel
history.
Metal Gear has fallen down sometimes on some of the issues he's tried to put in there. I feel like every part of Death Stranding like weaves so well together, especially when we got some of the goofy like shower scenes sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, but I thought Death Stranding just worked for me all the way through.
That's one of the things that I was the most surprised about, because obviously this is my first Kojima project that I've actually gone into, and I had that inherent fear that it was like, because in the build up to this, it was like none of this makes sense. You get into the world and you get given a bit of context, and it's like everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Like what? And I think that's one of the things that maybe stick with Death Stranding so much, is because it's like this all works. Like everything here is right. Everything makes sense. The world, as you say, the world he has built is absolutely incredible. So yeah, for me it would be Death Stranding. The one that maybe it's me being like mainlining it, but Outer Worlds I didn't think had that great narrative.
I think it's the world building thing. I think that's why they've kind of rolled it in.
It's the side quests and the companion quests that are really the best thing about that game.
I need to go back through it.
The world detail, the amount of effort that they put into just realizing this world, all the different advertising campaigns, all the different rules that underpin the way the different factions work. Like, I love all that stuff. I think what you're actually doing in terms of A to B isn't as multifaceted as the world itself.
Yeah.
Whereas something in Death Stranding, there's especially towards the last chapter, later chapters, there's so much going on that is ludicrous. For me, the script lets Death Stranding down and does in those last chapters, but narratively, like I said, all the wider elements are so solid. And he's literally sat down and thought of everything, like from the black tar to why someone wears something or whatever.
You think, he's going there, and then he perfectly explains it. Now, damn you, what are you doing?
I would challenge perfectly, but
it's one of those things that it always works in a narrative when they try, because games and any kind of medium always try and build these ridiculously big worlds, and they can't justify any of it because they say, here's this because this, we want to make the world big, let's add loads of crap into it. I always like it, kind of Death Stranding, as much as obviously it's not as vast, but something like the Wizarding World, J.K. Rowling, everything she's done is all. It has a reason to it. I know that sometimes it's come under fire, like, why did wizards poop themselves? But like everything she does has got some kind of relevance. And the fact that Kojima's done that as well, especially from me, somebody new with the expectation that half of this is going to be complete nonsense and completely unnecessary. And
and in this, he can't just go nanomachines like
True.
he has done before. Just nanomachines. That's why he's a vampire.
Yeah, granted, that was after he had so many dangling plot threads. He was like, "What's this giant net that I can just sort of put around everything?" Which
the wizard did it.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think in terms of picks for best narrative, I guess out of all of them, I would go Death Stranding. I don't think they're necessarily massively strong candidates. Like in terms of if I was going to go with like the punchiest story, nothing made me feel this year the same way that
I think
a Last of Us or
especially
whatever
like
does, or
in
God of War.
comparison to last year's nominees across like everything were stellar.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of Death Stranding, honestly, I was ready for it to be done. I think the last few chapters are messy as hell, but I love everything else.
I had the gut punch feeling with Death Stranding. I don't know why. I'm not a father. I don't intend to be a father, but still, I just everything about towards the end, I just clicked me in love. Even some of the weird stuff, but Plague Tale, really good. Also, Control's got good narrative too.
They all are very good. A couple for Death Stranding, maybe all three for Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Best game of the year: Control, Death Stranding, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, or Outer Worlds. Hard to pick. No, we have done other videos on this. There's a chatty face coming next week where we talk about our personal game of the year, not relating to the Game Awards. We've done a blind ranking video that'll be going out maybe by the time. It's up now by the time you hear this. And so there's various different ways that you can represent your game of the year. But in terms of these picks, out of these, I would pick Death Stranding.
It's got my top 3 in there, which is really nice. Just like, Death Stranding. Like, it came so close for me. Like Resident Evil 2, Death Stranding, Control are like just juggling around, and one of them is better one day, one of them is better the other day. But for me, Death Stranding is game of the year.
Because I said when we did the best video, the one that's up next week, I think if I was going to go objectively or just sort of measure what a game goes for and how well did they get there and like how many different lessons are learned from the developer from years gone by, I think it's Sekiro. But the most fun I had this year was with DMC5, Mortal Kombat 11, and the vast majority of Death Stranding. So I'm going to hold that up. And I do think that there's enough elements in Death Stranding that are fresh and original, and things like the communal building aspects just feel brilliant.
Yeah.
What's yours, Rich?
Well, my personal game of the year isn't on this list, surprisingly, but my second game of the year was Resident Evil 2.
Nice.
And I think, again, that's beaten Death Stranding just.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's introduced me to a whole new series that I've obviously heard about my entire life and never played. And it was so much more than I was expecting it to be. Like when I played the demo of it in January, because it was like, why not? Let's give this a go. And in that half an hour, I bought the game because it was like, wow, this is really cool. This is not what I was expecting it to really be. This really heavy puzzle-based sort of zombie shooter. It's like, this is why is it taking me so long to play this?
Yeah, man, you should go back over and check out RE4.
I've got RE4 to play. I played 7 now,
Right.
so I played 2 Remake and 7 this year.
If you're ever curious about Resident Evil, there is a 14,000-word article on WhatCulture.com about every boss. If you want to,
He might have ranked every single thing.
Oh, good. I really do appreciate Death Stranding. If Death Stranding wins Game of the Year, which I kind of think it will, I think it's the one that will win. But for me, the one that should win is Resident Evil 2.
I think critics being critics, they might take a left turn and give it to Control. Because Control is immaculate, minus the end.
Think about the Game Awards, though. There's never been that sudden. There's been like left field nominations.
Well, Celeste
getting Game of the Year nod. Was it last year?
Yeah.
Like that was incredible and completely deserved. And I don't think they will just turn around and hand it off to something we weren't necessarily expecting, like how the golden joysticks were like Fortnite, and everyone just kind of why?
Yeah.
I think Yeah, I think on an art history level, I think it'll go to Death Stranding. I have a lot to say on the whole artistry of Death Stranding and its wider influence, but that's not a topic for now.
We'll hopefully do another
For me personally,
podcast, yeah.
it is Resident Evil 2. I think it's one of the best experiences I've had this year.
It's stellar.
I think Control might win, because there is no hate out there for Control. Like there is hate out there for Death Stranding.
It's
so
just that it's obviously it's not as loud. It's not as
Yeah.
it's not been as sort of universally seen. Basically.
Control's sales have apparently been pretty abysmal, but they've barely addressed it, probably because of that. And I think that it being nominated kind of reminded a lot of people that it is still out there. So I would like Control
one
to
of those
finally
games
be
we're all
seen.
going to come back to one day. It's like the new Spec Ops: The Line.
Yes.
Everyone's going to come back to it for some reason.
But so Game of the Year, I'm going to go with Death Stranding. Bimari, which is your number one?
I think Control might win, but Death Stranding is the game of the year.
Shout, and yours is Resident
Death
Evil
Stranding
2.
most likely will win, but Resident Evil.
We will see. But yes, we'll find out on December 12th as to what everyone else goes for. But for now, this has been the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast, and I've been your host, Scott Tilford, joined by Ben Roy Turner
Video games.
and Rich Hudson.
Planet 2's game of the year, really.
Hideo Kojima, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Nanomachines.